Hey everyone, bowling two-handed may look easy, but it can be anything but, especially if the ball that the student is using doesn't jive with that person's game. And you can find that out pretty easily right away. In fact, beginners may not even want to use their own bowling ball. My name is Andrew Pfeffer. I'm the creator, producer, and host of Bowling with the Pfeff, and this is Hot Topics. And we are joined by the great Del Warren, Vice President of the Kegel Training Center here. Del, welcome back to Hot Topics.
Hey, buddy. Good to have you back. Good to have me back, Pfeff. I appreciate it very much. We usually do this time of year, and always look forward to chatting with you and getting caught up.
Likewise, it's great to talk bowling with you. We want to talk a little about two-handed bowling, and this one's kind of geared toward the beginners, the folks who are just starting their journey in two-handed bowling. What would you like to see a beginning two-handed bowler really learn right away?
Number one, I see this a lot even in the traditional bowling. Start with a very light ball. That's the single most important thing. People are starting with too heavy of a product. Have teenagers that are one-handed players that throw a 15 just fine, one-handed, that have enough ball speed, and they decide to go two-handed, and they don't drop any weight actually, and they can't handle the heavier weight, and that just causes an array of compensations. And because they are teenagers, they'll fight through it, and they'll get a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, but they develop such bad compensations. Oftentimes they get hurt. Oftentimes they get compensations in their game that might even take that once they get older enough and they actually get enough ball speed because once you palm the ball and take your thumb out of it, you're going to have somewhere between 375 and 400 on the low end. Mm-hmm. So you need 18 miles an hour to support that. So I have a teenager right now. I just can't convince him to, some local coach, when he went from one-handed to two-handed, said, yep, 15's fine. You don't have to switch weights. And mother bought a couple of balls, and now she doesn't want to spend the money to go down in weight. And I said, it's going to cost you later if he doesn't get hurt. So that's the first thing, and that's super important. We start with light enough where they can actually get the technique, the correct series of biomechanics, and they can do the technique correctly, and don't worry about scoring. So you've got to have speed with the correct technique, and I mean, the way I like to describe it is, if I went to the gym right now, I could probably do 6 reps of 150 bench, and I could probably do, maybe 2 or 3 reps of 170, but the technique would be really bad. So we know in weight training, it's not about how much you can train with. It's really about stressing the muscle a certain way and having really good technique. And I'm going to actually lift less weight, much less weight if I do technique, but I'm not going to get hurt. I'm also going to get better results. The same thing here. So, and then once they do that, I would start them with a conventional grip. I put their fingers all the way to the second knuckle, much like Belmo does, because we need control. And then I would just start them with some really solid foul line drills and get the release correct, get the collapsing of the elbow and the collapsing of the ribs, using the correct fingers, getting the hand to rotate correctly at the bottom so that the hand rotates, around the ball, and the weight of the ball goes to the inside part of the hand without the shoulder moving. And get the ball coming off the hand, not in front of them. Like you see some coaches teaching, projecting the ball way out in front, which allows that right shoulder to get too far in front. I want that ball coming off the hand at the foul line. So I would start there, and then I would go with a basic 5-step approach, and I would use tape on the ground. Tape on the ground has just been the easiest way to work on footwork.
Yeah. And that, is so huge, whether you're two-handed or not. You hear about a lot of youngsters, a lot of teenagers, or younger than that, taking up two-handed bowling. Sometimes it's all they know. Sometimes it's, for another reason. But who should consider two-handed bowling? Because even in our member pool, there's a lot of different ages and types of people out there.
As long as you're physically strong enough, I live in a senior community, which is kind of about 10 miles from Kegel. It's called Lake Ashton. And there's a gentleman there that I knew from the tour, bowling on the tour, that lives there. That was a good friend of Randy Stoughton. He throws a 14-pound purple hammer in league, and they have a 4-lane bowling center at Lake Ashton. He bowls league twice a week. And he told me, and I saw him on the range. He's a very good golfer. I saw Todd on the range the other day, and he said, "Yeah, it's like stealing." He's having the time of his life. And I was kind of, when I was on tour, my rev rate was kind of middle of the road. It wasn't the super low end, and it wasn't the super high end. And his was a bit lower than mine, what I can remember. And he's just enjoying life. And he's pretty fit. He's in his 60s, but he throws a little bit lighter ball. And I showed him, about a couple years ago to make his grip conventional so he can control it a little bit more. And he loves it. He's having a great time. So it really depends on, you need enough ball speed, but there are people that never could have much rev rate, that by palming the ball and using their other hand, they're just doing it to have fun because it's fun to hook the ball. We have to really put it in context of the person that's trying to do it. And of course, having ample ball speed is definitely a must. But if you're just a recreational bowler, it's not necessary by any means. So starting with a weight that again, going back to a weight that you can handle. And then also I would say to the viewers, remember, when we're worried about the lighter weight, hitting the pins, you're going to be, at least 375 off your hand rev rate. And if you can add some speed to that, the kinetic math formula is 1/2 MV squared. So you're only if you drop down a pound in weight, you're only losing 8 ounces. And if you pick up a mile an hour in ball speed, your velocity is going to be a squared number. So you're going to get far better results with a bit more speed and a better technique than you will with trying to throw a heavy ball. And at the same time, these modern bowling balls love more speed because it stretches out the transition of, how the ball interacts with the oil and the friction and the core. And plus you don't have to cover nearly as many boards. So that's what just depends on how physically fit you are. But if you're able to do it, why not? It's a lot of fun to hook the ball.
Obviously, there are opportunities for coaching for many types of bowlers at the Kegel Training Center, bowling coaches as well. What kind of opportunities are there for beginning two-handers?
For beginning two-handers, so we have a couple of products actually. So we have a two-handed camp, a 3-day camp that is designed for players and coaches. About a little less than a decade ago, we started to do kind of a mentorship program for coaches, or any product that we offer. If they want to come in and kind of shadow our coaches on anything, they have the ability to do that. And it includes a two-handed camp. And that's been very, very popular. We tend to, the regular two-handed camp is for all two-handed players, regardless of skill level, whether they're advanced, intermediate, or just beginning. The curriculum is the same, and the workbook has a tremendous amount of it. So we focus on fundamentals for 2 different styles. So we've identified 2 styles in the current world, which we say it's either a P type or an O type. The O type is kind of an open hip type, which is, we call that their traditional type that Belmo and Oscu introduced us to 25 years ago, where their hips pivot and and that allows the shoulders to move. The P type is what we call the perpendicular type, which is more like a Kyle Troop type, where he's more like a traditional bowler, and the hips stay perpendicular to the line of play, and the backswing is a little bit shorter. The timing is a little bit more delayed. And so we evaluate everybody based on those two types. And of course, we see hybrids and as the game is evolving and so on, but that camp is predominantly for players but also for coaches that want to kind of shadow that. And then the other product we have is called KCMP, which stands for Kegel Coaching Masters Program. And our fourth domain that we wrote a couple years ago was on two-handed bowling. And this is, again, predominantly aimed for coaches, but also for players. So this is really to identify and go down even deeper than the player camp goes into, of the two-handed mechanics, the release mechanisms. We also go into lane play and rotation and tilt strategies for two-handed players in different parts of the lane, where speed is generated from different types of releases that we've identified, et cetera, et cetera. So again, two different types of products, but one is aimed predominantly for players with coaches, and the other one's aimed for coaches with players.
Great. Yeah, and that's all at the Kegel Training Center in Florida. Del, thanks so much for all the information. Always appreciate it. And for those of you out there who are looking for more information about Ipsia, Ipsia.com is the place. You'll find all the benefits of membership and everything else that's going on in the organization. And if you liked what you saw here today, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's easy, it's free, and it helps us continue to make great bowling content.